Good afternoon, race fans. Mike Gugliemucci and TJ Zizzo at the beautiful Route 66 Raceway. A little snowy today, but I promise you before you come back in July for the mellow yellow stop for NHRA, it will be warm.
I hope so, man. I saw a mound of snow on that racetrack today. That looks like Mount Everest. We'll just call it Mount 66 or something.
There you go, Mount 66. Well, there is a snowcross event that's coming up, and your Top Fuel dragster would have a hard time maneuvering the jumps in that, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But TJ, welcome to Joliet, and like I said, before you come back, I promise you it'll be a lot warmer, but sporting some new colors this year, Rust-Oleum. First of all, congratulations on that, and NHRA kicking off this weekend in Pomona, and looking forward to July. Let's look into our crystal ball. What can we expect before you guys roll into the Route 66 Raceway?
Well, the wonderful thing is, I love at Route 66 we have 2 nighttime qualifying sessions. I think that's killer. I think you have Friday night, you have Saturday night, under the lights. That's what drag racing is about. That's what this sport is cool. You see the header flames 10 feet going down the racetrack, you know, even above the wing. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It's exciting to see. The excitement should just be spectacular on that Friday and Saturday. And then of course we have Sunday Championship Day.
Championship Sunday,
right,
yeah.
Championship Sunday.
I always tell race fans, if you have to pick, you can only do one day because of scheduling and whatever, kids playing baseball or soccer or whatnot. If you have one day, you got to come out and see Friday night qualifying. Now we do have both days, Friday night and Saturday night primetime qualifying, but as you said, the numbers and the competition, the numbers that are laid down that night, it's like, you know, just go for the gusto and get after it. Tell us a little bit about you and your crew chief when it comes to Friday night qualifying. You know you need to put down a good number because the air is right, everything is right. What goes through your mind when you roll up for your first round?
Well, here's the best thing about being here. It throws all the crew chiefs and drivers for a loop, which I love. I think the sport needs some diversity on that, because this is what it is. Friday night, usually I'm like, holy smokes, we gotta lay down a number to get in the top 12, to be in the show essentially for Sunday, because usually we have Saturday day qualifying, right? But let's go through this. Now, Saturday night qualifying, you don't know who's in the show until that last car goes down the racetrack, which is awesome. It is a challenge because now we have to say, okay, Friday night we gotta run good, but we also have now Saturday night. We're not running in the heat of the day like we usually are on Saturday, which the cars go slower. Now all of a sudden, Friday or Saturday night, and it's even hard to say that, right? Saturday night, last round of qualifying, holy smokes, if we're number 10 qualifier, you got a chance of being bumped out of the show in number 17 by the end of qualifying on that last final shot. So that's why I think it's cool. And then all the crew chiefs tell, you know, we all talk amongst each other and say, well, what about Sunday? Now we don't have any data for Sunday in the heat of the day and all that stuff.
That's why they get the big bucks.
Exactly, and I think that makes it so cool. I think that's why Route 66 has done something very unique. And I think that now Sunday comes along, now you don't have all the data you would have from Saturday. So it makes it much more exciting and much more real. And now it's anyone's game. Number 1 qualifier, number 16 qualifier, it doesn't matter anymore.
There's no gimmies anymore. TJ, let's talk about a race fan that may come to Chicagoland Speedway for the Cup race, or go to Indianapolis for an IndyCar race. If you haven't been to an NHRA event, let's tell the fans. First of all, God love ESPN. Without them, we would be in trouble. But it's not like being at the racetrack.
You have to come out to the racetrack. You have to. There's no doubt in my mind, if you watch it on TV, when I watch it on TV, I feel that, wow, I would love to go to that event. For example, Pomona this weekend, right? Let's back up a little bit. We got Pomona this weekend. I'm gonna watch it on TV, but it's nothing like being there. You have to come to the event. So you gotta come out to Route 66, you gotta see the excitement, the action, and everything that it's worth. It's a sensory overload. I can't explain it enough. I made a pass about 4 months ago at this point. I didn't go to testing in the wintertime, but I still got the chills of the last pass I made. And I always say to people, because people come out to me and say, how does it feel to drive that race car? I said, when you're in the stands, when you witness that car from the outside of the car, it's more exciting than driving the car. Which, how does that work? How does that work? Well, this is how it works. When I see the car leave in front of me, so I'm sitting in my car, I'm behind the water box, right? I'm about to stage the car. The car's about ready to fire. But the cars in front of me leave the starting line. You know what I say? I say, I drive something like that? Are you serious? I always toggle over to our crew chief and I say, I beep him on radio and I said, does our car leave that hard? And he goes, TJ, our car leaves harder. I'm like, and I drive that thing? So from the outside of the car, it's intense. It's an intense feeling, like no other.
TJ, you wear a lot of hats in your race team, and when you hear owners and drivers wearing the same hat, the question comes up, what's harder? Is it harder to drive that race car, to be the driver, or is it harder to be the guy that has to maintain the sponsors, to bring the sponsors, keep them happy, entertain them, all within a short amount of time when you're at a national event?
Yeah, it's absolutely a challenge, but this is the way I see it, and I always have and I always will.
Beats digging a ditch, doesn't it?
You got it. And I get the opportunity, no matter how we get there, I get the opportunity to drive a car at over 320 miles an hour. We got to make those opportunities back at the race shop, right? Mm-hmm. By going to board meetings and talking to other corporations. We get to do all that stuff, and it's a challenge, but it's a good challenge. It's a fun challenge. Then, even to the smallest mundane things like folding towels to go to the racetrack so we put them in our semi, or washing the semi, loading the race car, getting our cylinder heads prepped, all those things. But the best thing about it is, once I get to the racetrack, everything is ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll. So it's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but you get such an adrenaline rush doing that. You can't replace that. So I'll keep on doing it. I'll wear as many hats as I can. And
as long as you get to race.
As long as I get to race. But I also got a great team behind me too. Let's never forget that. I mean, my dad, if it weren't for my dad, I wouldn't be here right now at Route 66 in the middle of the winter time, seeing a snowcross
We're gonna go check
track
it
being
out as soon
built.
as we're finished.
That's crazy, I gotta say. So I wouldn't have that opportunity. Then we have our crew chief, which constantly is working on tune-ups. Just today, he said, hey, I want to get our pumps 4 gallons bigger. Fine, go ahead, let's do it. Those things. And all of our team members that show up at the shop religiously getting our car prepared for us. Remember, they're all volunteer. All my guys guys and girls, are volunteer people. They don't have to be at the shop on a Tuesday night. They don't have to be there on a Sunday. They could be watching a Super Bowl, but no, they're at our race shop preparing our race cars. So, I'm very fortunate. I do have to wear a lot of hats, but thankfully I have a lot of people surrounding me that love what we do and love working for it.
My next question, I think I know the answer, but I'll pose it to you anyway. Heroes growing up.
That's always a really tough one to answer. I look at multiple things when someone asks me that. Of course, naturally, I want to say my father, right? Without my father, I wouldn't be here. But that's a given. Then you want to go to people in the armed forces, right? You want to say, well, geez, these men and women brave their life for us. So I always go back to my mom. I go to my mom because my mom put up a lot of stuff when I was growing up, but she was dedicated to it. And she still is from afar. I mean, my mom and dad got divorced, but I would say my mom. My mom is my hero because she allowed me to get to this point. She could have said, when I was 16 climbing in that race car, she could have said, no, my son's not going to drive that beast. No way. But she didn't.
Most moms do.
Right.
At start. Now, after an argument or two with dad, they might get to where you could do this, but he's definitely out driving a Top Fuel car.
Right. And
once you're in.
Oh, absolutely. I remember here at Route 66 a couple of years ago, it was a Friday night qualifying session, and we had a minor explosion. No big deal, right? Well, I pull off the end of the racetrack, and my mom was in the stands. Pull up the racetrack. Literally, it felt like a second later, my mom is running to the end of the quarter mile, on the return road to see if her son was okay. And I'm like, Mom, where did you come from?
Nobody was going to stop her.
No one was. And my mom knew all the officials and stuff. So it was like, but that's the dedication that she still has to this. And, I always got to text her when I'm done. Like, for traveling across the country, I always got to text her right away to let her know how I'm doing. So yeah, my mom would be my hero for sure.
Well, you had 23 inches of snow, we had 19 here. Other than snow blowing, is there anything do you like any snow sports, anything outdoor sports?
Well, the first time I went skiing ever, I was in 7th grade. I went snow skiing, right? My dad's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Well, I broke both my legs. So, you know what I like to do? I like to drag my kids on the sled behind my four-wheeler. Now, 22 inches of snow or 23 inches of snow, I
That's
can't.
a little tough.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I'll have to get a snowmobile now. But absolutely, I enjoyed. We had a couple inches of snow like a week ago or so. I went home on a Sunday after working at the shop. I took a little break at lunchtime, drug them around the yard. It was a hoot. It was an absolute hoot. So yeah, I enjoy being outside in the snow, but there's got to be snow on the ground, man. I don't like when it's cold and rainy.
Me neither. Well, TJ, thank you very much for coming out and spending some time with us. For all your friends that want tickets to the Route 66 Nationals in July, 888-629-RACE. That's 888-629-7223, Route66Raceway.com. Come on out. I promise you, all the listeners and everybody watching now, it will be warmer than it is today. There will be no snow. The snowcross event will be done, wrapped up. Will be time for Top Fuel racing. TJ Zizzo, I'm Mike Gugliemucci. Thank you for tuning in to the Route 66 Raceway.